and gents, it's Ray from Our Normal Life Atlanta, and I just want to let you know that you just clicked on a great video. Yes, a great collaboration with some wonderful people. So once you get through watching this video, yeah, this one right here, make sure you jump on over to Our Normal Life Atlanta's page and check out our top 5 positives of our IVF cycle. See you in a minute, girls.
Hi guys, my name is Jen and my YouTube channel name is No Longer Unfertile Myrtle. I'm excited to be doing this collaboration with this lovely group of women. My husband and I dealt with unexplained infertility for close to 3 years. We had some failed fertility treatments and we moved on to IVF. And now I am 34 weeks pregnant with twins.
Hey guys, it's Fee from Fee TTC and me. Over the last 2 years, I've documented my trying to conceive journey on YouTube, and I've met some really great people along the way. After 4 IVF cycles, I have run into a lot of scary and sad things, but along the way, I've gotten some really great life lessons too.
Hi, it's Chelsea.
And Chris.
From LBC Party of 5.
And after you're done checking out this video, hop over to our channel and check out our top 5.
See you soon.
Hey guys, it's time for a collaboration. I got invited to do this tag of sorts with 4 other people. This is being done by myself and by LBC Party of 5, by No Longer Unfertile Myrtle, and by Our Normal Life Atlanta. So after you're done watching this, be sure to go check out theirs. You saw them in the intros. All of us are posting this video at the same time, and we hope you enjoy it. This is the positives of IVF. IVF has so many scary and sad things that you can run into along the way. And let me tell you, we've all run into a bunch of them. But there really is some really great things to learn, and a lot of great things that we have taken back from it. And we wanted to share that with you guys. So each of us is going to give you 5 positives of IVF, our own personal opinions. So I'm going to jump right into mine and start with the first one. Number 1 for me, and I don't know, maybe this is a little too simplistic, but I definitely find it to be a positive that IVF even exists. The fact that it's even an option. Granted, IVF gives you no guarantees, but it's better than not having a chance at all. And for some of us, that was exactly the case. For myself and my husband, we were flat out told that IUIs would not work. We had already proven that other medicine like Clomid was not going to work for us. But the doctors flat out told us that they didn't even want to attempt IUIs because they said it would be a miracle. That it would quite literally be impossible based on our numbers. I'm not going to get into that. But if IVF didn't exist, that would have been the end of the road for us. And that would have been really sad. IVF is rough. You don't want to have to go that route. You don't want anyone to have to go that route. But when it comes down to it, if that's your only shot, it's a positive that somebody in, I believe it was the 1970s, thought of, hey, you know what, there's a bunch of people out there that might be able to make use of a science where we take egg and sperm and put it together in a petri dish and put it back into the mother. If someone wouldn't have thought of that, a lot of us wouldn't have babies, wouldn't be pregnant, wouldn't have even been able to try. My second reason, for me, I feel it's made me more empathetic for people on both sides of this fence. And my personal opinion is that it's not something that's easy to accomplish, or even to be able to say that you know both sides of the fence in any subject, not just trying to conceive. But this journey and IVF in general really has made me more empathetic, because I know what it's like to be waiting and still wanting, and trying an IVF cycle, and trying another IVF cycle, and trying another IVF cycle, and holding on to that last thread and not giving up. And then I also know what it's like to have IVF work, but to still have a ton of fears up in this head of mine. And I know I'm not the only one like that. So I think IVF has made me more empathetic. more understanding, and I feel like I can actively support people on either side of the fence and honestly say that I know how it feels and am able to support them as a person who has been through the battle. And I think that's important. I think that's really important. There's a lot of people that say they know how it feels, but in most cases, that's not always true. They're trying to be nice, they're trying to be supportive, but if you've never been through IVF or any part of this, it's really hard to understand. I will never forget where I came from or what it took to get this far. Even if this were to be taken away from me tomorrow, I will never forget. So I think it has made me more understanding and more empathetic and more supportive. My third one is a little bit lighter. We had two heavy ones, so let's go with a lighter one. I would have to say that IVF has enabled me to get over my fear of doctors or any procedure in general. To start IVF, I personally had to have an HSG, and I know a lot of other people out there have had different situations and different experiences with an HSG. Mine was not pretty. It really wasn't. So having to have to do that, I almost feel, and I know I've already done this, that if I have to go in for any other kind of procedure, whether it has to do with fertility or otherwise, in the back of my head I keep telling myself, it's not going to be that bad. You can do this because you did the HSG. On that same token is needles. Now, I wouldn't have considered myself a needle phobe, or I don't know what the proper word is for that, but it's not like I loved needles. Having to give somebody else a shot or having to see a needle or hold a needle has never really bothered me. But when you've got to take that needle and put it into your own body of your own accord, it kind of raises the stakes a little bit. And I never thought I would be able to do that. I was so nervous the first time I had to do that. I was shaking like a leaf. My heart was racing. I almost dropped the thing on the floor, and you know you don't want to drop those drugs because they're expensive. But now, it's like nothing. I could inject my forehead if I had to. I don't think it would bother me. The third thing on this same token is, I would say when I started IVF, the only experience I had with a doctor being on the other side of the table was my OBGYN. And I've had the same OBGYN for forever. Anybody that's been watching my videos knows that I've currently switched my OB because it doesn't bother me anymore. You go through IVF and it almost feels like everybody in your clinic has been on that side of the table, and after a while you don't care. I could see myself going back into the regular population, having to go for a regular yearly, and my doctors used to be part of a learning hospital. So they'd walk in and say, do you mind if I bring in so-and-so so that they can experience this too? Obviously the student that they were training at the time. And I'd always be like, oh, no. Now, bring the whole class in. It doesn't bother me. My fourth positive of IVF is taking nothing for granted, and it really teaches you how precious life is. You really appreciate life, I think, because of everything you had to go through to create it. Nobody wants to have to go through IVF. I said this in a previous bullet point, but you want it to just work. You want to be one of the normal people. You want it to just work. But for those of us that don't have that option, we're not given that choice. We have to play the best game with the hand that we're dealt. So when you have no choice but to go through IVF, or what feels like no choice, all of the steps you have to go through and all of the timed shots, and you start to see everything that has to be just perfect for this to work, you really appreciate life and just how much of a miracle it really is, how much of a blessing it really is. And I'm not saying that mothers that haven't had to go through IVF are any less grateful. That's not what I mean at all. But in some ways, it really opens your eyes when you have to go through something like this. To not take anything for granted, because there are people out there that can have 14 kids without having to go through this. And while I know those mothers appreciate every single last one of those children, the fact that we have to fight and fight and fight just to get one, or some of us twins if we get really lucky, I feel like it gives you just a little bit more of appreciation of that baby growing inside of you, of that life being created. I think the women that have had to go through this, when it does work, you're so grateful that you even love morning sickness. And morning sickness is not something you should love. It's not the way this is supposed to be. But for us, it is. So I think it just gives that little bit extra of appreciation, that little bit extra of just being in awe of the miracle that life really is. And my last one is being able to see life as soon as some of us are able to see it. I mean, when we get our transfers, if you're doing an FET or if you're doing IVF, a fresh transfer, you're given a picture of what will hopefully become your little baby, and it's just a group of little cells. I mean, that's amazing to be able to see that. How many people out there can start their baby book with a picture like that? And then most of the time, we're kept in the clinic for a number of weeks. We got to go every week. A lot of us get ultrasounds every single week. I mean, you can almost make a growth flip book. And that's not something you get if you don't have to go through IVF. So it is a positive. It's a definite positive. There, years upon years ago, people didn't even get ultrasounds. They never got ultrasounds. They just prayed that everything was okay. As time progressed a little later on, you'd get one, maybe two if you were lucky. Now people get them a little bit more often, but not even close to what women that have gone through IVF get. We get to see our babies on that screen so often and so early. My first one, they wanted to check to verify implantation at 5 weeks. Now, technically, we all know you're pregnant before you're pregnant. The first 2.5 weeks don't really count. So you're talking about 2 weeks of growth. I was like, what could they possibly see that early? Is this doctor got bionic eyes? I think I remember saying that numerous times. And you go there and they can see the tiniest little sac starting to form. It's amazing. It really is. All right, that's it, guys. That was my 5 positives of IVF. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing it. I am glad I was asked to do this collaboration. Please go and see these girls. Go check out their channels. They have posted this very same video. Go and watch theirs so you can find out what their 5 positives of IVF were also as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.